Hello, and once again, we are live to the Modern Mystery School UK and EU podcast and YouTube channel. And yes, it's that time. We've got Astrologer in the house. Alex, how are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you doing, Ipsissima Kate?
I'm doing really well. I'm very excited because Jupiter is moving into Cancer. I don't know why I'm excited, though. Maybe we could find out more. I heard abundance, I heard container, I had some very, very cool and exciting things. So maybe you would be willing to share a little bit more.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, happy Gemini season. And to all the Geminis out there, happy coming birthday, happy belated birthday. Yay, Gemini season.
Yay, yay, yay.
But, everyone, if you know anything about astrology, everybody loves Jupiter. I mean, what is there not to love? He's fortune, like good fortune. He's abundance. He's benevolence. He's philosophy. He's so many wonderful things. And so, of course, it makes sense that we want him in a sign that he does well in. And that sign in astrology is Cancer. Cancer is considered to be the exaltation or the highest expression of Jupiter's energy. And so on June 9th, so just a couple days away, he will be entering into Cancer. And he'll be there until about June 30th of next year.
We are loving this.
Yeah. And, I had a lot of questions at the beginning of the year about fears around money, recession, war, that kind of thing. And, was there a possibility for certain negative factors? Yeah, sure. But knowing that Jupiter was about to enter into Cancer, I was like, there's still too much abundant energy around for us to slide that far back. And so for all of you who have been worried about that, I want to dispel your fears right now.
I love that. People are going to be over the moon to hear this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you go on the internet and you just look at the news, it's recession this, recession that, no money, blah, blah, blah. There's plenty of money. There is plenty of abundance to be had. Now, I know many of you are kind of feeling like there isn't, but I want to tell you a secret. And that secret is that just 10 days from now, and it's already in effect at this moment, Jupiter is also square to his counterpart, who is Saturn. And Saturn is the polar opposite energy of Jupiter. And so where Jupiter encourages risk and adventure and abundance and philosophy, Saturn says, give me real, grounded, tangible results. I am cautious and I am not doing anything unless it's guaranteed. And so we have these opposing forces of growth and expansion, as well as contraction and stability.
Fascinating for business owners. Really.
Yeah, and so I was talking with Ipsissima Kate before we logged in, and a square is considered to be a hard aspect in astrology, and so it indicates a conflict or a tension of some kind. And this particular square is creating the illusion that there's no abundance to be had in the world, and yet there's plenty. And so first we're grappling with this illusion that there's nothing out there. And so, yay, business owners, please be happy. For those of you who are out in service in the world, there is still, so much that can be served. It's not like service has to just be, dishing out soup at the soup kitchen, right? There are still people who are looking to grow and expand and grow into philosophy, right? But the other piece that we have to look at is sometimes a lack of abundance is not about what's coming in. It's about what's going out. And we must achieve balance in all things. Now, of course, that doesn't necessarily mean like money in, money out. A lot of people already feel they live their lives that way. And we could call that balance in a certain way, but that's not the balance that we're talking about here. But rather, it is about the wise use of resources. And Saturn is, yes, he is cautionary, and he likes guaranteed outcomes. He likes stability, things that last through time, right? Which is kind of how we want our money to be, and our abundance to be. But at the same time, Saturn also governs over the container. And it's really important for us to look at the containers that we have created in our life, especially for those of you who are serving as life activation practitioners, as guides, or for any of you who have a spiritual business of any kind. And that container has to be able to receive, not only receive, but to utilize resources wisely. And so this is a really good time of evaluation of where your time is going, because that's part of what goes into your container, right? Where your finances are going, that's also part of what goes into your container. But also, where are the opportunities going when they enter your container? And do you have a structure that can actually maximize the potential of every opportunity that comes your way?
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? It's and that awareness of that the awareness of that is so key for our path, and the rituals that we might do, the initiations we have, the activations, everything is about strengthening the container and then being super aware of energies that are coming in and out of the container. So this seems to me like a perfect year to be walking the path and having growth.
Absolutely. And just like Sister Kate said, when we attend Empower Thyself, the rituals that are handed down are literally to create a sealed container, because we need containers for everything in our life. And so when your aura, for example, is not properly contained, you leak chi, which is basically vitality and health. And so we need these hermetic seals or hermetic containers to maintain goodness and to contain it, so that we're not losing it, due to errors, oversights, or subconscious bad habits that are really just biting us in the behind. Oh, I didn't catch what you said there.
Yes, I was just saying it's amazing. Yes, yeah, for sure. I know it's it's an exciting time, and it's so interesting that you pointed out that there's an illusion to say that there's a lack of or not much around. And so again, using our tools to break through that illusion is key.
Yeah, and to really focus on the containers. Now, of course, there's more to Jupiter being in Cancer than just abundance, right? And so it's also about the abundance of sharing time and care with the people who matter to you, and really taking care of your home and the people who belong in it with you. And so some of you might be feeling that call, to care for your home in various ways. And that could be everything from, picking up a few new pillows and cushions and just adding some extra life to it, to doing renovations, or even to looking at the security of your home and taking care of the container of the home itself, right? But this is also an important energy for us because our home is part of our container in life. And when it is sealed, it provides the abundance that we need to be benevolent to the ones that we love the most. Because at the root of Jupiter in Cancer is the wise, benevolent use of abundance. And so, because Cancer is a mother sign, right? And when you were an infant and your mother was taking care of you, if she was given $1 million, of course she would be using it in ways that are wise and benevolent to you. Of course she might go and get her hair and nails done and that kind of thing. But because she knows that she bears responsibility for you, she would still utilize those resources wisely. Right. And so Jupiter in Cancer is at his best because he is the wise, benevolent, and I don't know if I want to use the word cautious, but intelligent use of all that you have.
I love that. I love that. And it's just so helpful to have these insights, as we're going along, in life. You can really, utilize them to push through. You might be coming up with a challenge or something that's, you're being faced with, and, having that insight of like, no, actually, the wind is at my back, as we say. Let's go here. Let's push. So I do love this. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. And, I do have a couple of recommendations as well.
Yes, please.
So, for those of you who have never had any experience with the mystery school, I always recommend a life activation. And part of the reason for that is because you need the fullness of who you are inside your container. And that's part of what the life activation does. It brings the best of you forward, but also it can help you see and understand the subconscious triggers that can be poking holes in your container in many ways, whether those are emotional triggers or bad habits or that kind of thing. And so it's a really amazing tool. And of course, I always recommend Empower Thyself. Of course, there is the container of your being, which we call your aura, right? And people who have auras that are sealed and very abundant with light also tend to be, abundant in life as well. And so taking care of the aura always helps. And then, for those of you who aren't as new on the path, I also still recommend taking care of the vessel. And so I would definitely recommend the Hermetic soul retrieval for those of you who are not as new upon the path. Also, etheric reconstruction. If you find that you're coming up against, this one part of yourself that, this I don't want to necessarily call it a bad habit, but a bad seed. If you keep coming up against this bad seed that undermines your effort to create that container and to be a source of abundance and benevolence for yourself and others in your life, etheric reconstruction can be very, very helpful for that, especially if you have done other healing work and haven't been able to completely resolve it.
Amazing. Thank you so much for those recommendations. That's such a help. And if you want to find out anything more, please get in touch with Aleks directly. She'll be able to help you and make recommendations for your personal chart and such. I'll put you in touch with a practitioner if you're not local to her, and all sorts of different things. So yeah, thank you.
And if you might want your keys to astrological abundance, that's a reading that could be helpful for you in creating that, how your container and how it works too.
Yeah, amazing. I love it. Thank you so much, and we cannot wait to have you back on the show. And thank you everybody for tuning in.
Yes, go get that abundance and be benevolent with it.
Woohoo!